The first time she saw him, the world didn't slow down. It stopped. The ballroom of the Mirador Hotel glistened with gold chandeliers and champagne flutes, the kind of place where power wore a smile and secrets were passed between toasts. The gala was meant to celebrate peace between two rival corporate empires, the Morenos and the Kyung Group. But everyone in that room knew it was a facade. A truce built on paper, inked with lies. Amelia Moreno, sleek black dress, emerald earrings, and a calm that disguised her lineage, wasn't there to celebrate. She was there to spy. Hidden beneath her designer gown was a transmitter, linked directly to the CIA. Her mission: identify Ethan Park, an undercover enforcer suspected to be working with both families. No one knew who he truly served, not even the agencies tracking him. Her orders were simple: get close, get intel, and get out. But simple never survives the first encounter. Across the crowded room, Ethan stood near the balcony, perfectly composed, perfectly dangerous. The young Korean operative blended effortlessly into the chaos. A tailored tuxedo, hair slicked back, expression unreadable. His job tonight was the same as hers, though neither knew it yet. He had been sent by the Kyung syndicate to identify the spy among the Morenos. And so the hunter met the hunted. Their eyes locked over a glass of champagne, hers sharp, calculating, his cold, assessing. But something electric sparked in that moment, something that neither training nor loyalty could suppress. Ethan Park, he introduced, voice low, accent crisp, extending his hand. Amelia, she replied smoothly, not offering her last name. Beautiful name, dangerous night. She smiled faintly. I could say the same about you. A string quartet played softly behind them. The air between them pulsed with tension, attraction laced with suspicion. Dance with me, he said suddenly. It wasn't a request. She hesitated, then placed her hand in his. His touch was warm, firm. A soldier's grip disguised as a gentleman's charm. They moved to the center of the ballroom, spinning beneath crystal light. To everyone watching, they were nothing more than two elegant strangers enjoying a dance. But beneath their poised smiles, their minds raced. Amelia's transmitter buzzed faintly in her ear. A whisper from her handler. Target identified. Confirm visual on Ethan Park. Proceed with extraction of data. But she couldn't. Not yet. Not when his eyes held her in that strange magnetic pull. Like he was searching for the same thing she didn't know she'd lost. Then, a sudden explosion shook the hall. Screams. Shattered glass. The lights flickered out. Ethan grabbed her waist, pulling her behind a marble pillar as debris rained down. Stay down, he barked. Gunfire erupted. Two rival factions were attacking simultaneously. A setup. Both sides thought the other had betrayed the peace. The air filled with smoke and chaos. Amelia drew a hidden pistol from her thigh holster, her secret now exposed. Ethan's gaze flicked to it, then to her. You're not just a guest, he said. Neither are you, she replied. And then, without another word, they fought back to back. Bullets flew, glass shattered, and two supposed enemies defended each other like partners who had trained for years. Their movements were synchronized, deadly, flawless. By the time the sirens wailed outside, the ballroom was a ruin. Bodies on marble floors, flames licking the edges of the curtains. Ethan grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward an exit. We need to move. I don't even know who you really are. Then you're already safer than you think, he said, eyes fierce. They burst into the cold night air, sirens echoing in the distance. The city stretched before them, glittering and dangerous. Tell me why you saved me, she demanded, breathless. He looked at her, a flicker of something raw in his gaze. Because I was sent to kill you. And before she could react, he disappeared into the shadows. The next morning, Los Angeles looked too peaceful for what had happened. The news called it a terrorist attack on a corporate gala. The media showed the flames, the chaos, the shattered glass, but not the truth. Not the faces behind the masks. Not the quiet war that had started long before that night. Amelia Moreno sat alone in a dim safe house in West Hollywood, nursing a bruised shoulder and a fractured sense of trust. Her reflection in the cracked mirror looked like a stranger, hair disheveled, mascara smudged, her black dress torn and streaked with smoke. Her comms device buzzed. "Agent Moreno, report," came the cold voice of Director Hughes from Langley. Was the target neutralized? She hesitated. Negative. The situation escalated. Ethan Park wasn't the aggressor. Someone else set the explosion. A pause. Then, sharper. "That's not your concern. You were ordered to extract data from his watch and eliminate contact. Do you have it?" Her jaw tightened. "No. He saved my life." Silence. Then, "Agent, you were compromised." The line went dead. Amelia ripped the earpiece out, trembling with fury. She had risked her cover, her life, and now she was expendable. Typical CIA procedure. But something about this mission was different. The agency's version didn't align with what she'd seen. Someone else had planned that attack. And whoever it was wanted both the Morenos and the Kyungs to destroy each other. Her phone buzzed again. This time, an encrypted text on an unknown line. "Unknown sender. You're being hunted. Leave the safe house now." She froze. Then, a sharp knock on the door. Before she could reach her weapon, the door burst open. 2 masked operatives in black stormed in, guns raised. She dove for cover behind the couch, fired twice, 1 man down. The second lunged forward, tackling her into a glass table. Pain shot through her ribs. They struggled, glass splintering beneath them. Then a single gunshot. The attacker fell. Behind him stood Ethan Park. Same black coat, same unreadable eyes. "You really need to pick safer meeting spots," he said calmly, lowering his weapon. Amelia, panting, pointed her gun at him anyway. "How did you find me?" "You're good," he said. "But you use a predictable encryption key. The CIA trained you well, just not well enough to hide from me." "Why are you here?" "Because they just put a kill order on both of us." She hesitated. "Both?" He tossed a bloodied envelope on the counter. Inside, a classified document stamped with the CIA seal. 2 names listed for termination. Amelia Moreno, Ethan Park. Her stomach dropped. "This doesn't make sense," she whispered. "It does if you realize your agency and my syndicate were working together," Ethan replied, voice low. "And now they're cleaning up their mess." He leaned closer. "They used us, Amelia. They made us pawns to erase evidence of a deal gone wrong. The explosion wasn't a terrorist act. It was an execution." Her pulse raced. "So, what do you want from me?" "Your help." "Help you what?" He looked at her with the intensity of a man who'd already accepted his death, but refused to go quietly. "Expose the truth. Bring them both down." She studied him, torn between distrust and the strange, magnetic certainty that he wasn't lying. "You want me to betray the agency?" she said slowly. He gave a faint, humorless smile. "You already did the moment you started asking questions." Silence stretched between them, the kind charged with danger and something else neither could name. Finally, she lowered her gun. "Fine, but I have conditions." "Of course you do. You tell me everything, who you work for, what this deal was about, and why I was marked for death." Ethan nodded. "You'll have your answers, but not here." He opened the door, gesturing for her to follow. "We're not safe. They're already tracking us." As they stepped into the alleyway, the roar of distant sirens filled the air. Amelia's thoughts churned. One night she was a loyal CIA agent. Now she was on the run with the enemy, a man who had been sent to kill her. And yet, as she followed Ethan into the shadows, she couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were now tied by something far deeper than betrayal. Rain fell over downtown Los Angeles like a curtain drawn between worlds. Ethan's car cut through the slick streets, headlights slicing through the mist as Amelia sat in the passenger seat, silent, her mind a storm of its own. She watched his reflection in the window, calm, focused, too calm. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, yet every heartbeat whispered the opposite. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. Somewhere they can't trace us, he said without looking at her. At least not immediately. And who's they exactly? The CIA? The Kyungs? The Morenos? His jaw flexed. All of them. The car wound through narrow side streets before stopping in front of an old textile warehouse by the docks. The kind of place that had seen too many deals and too few witnesses. Ethan led her inside. The space was dim, cluttered with old crates and forgotten machinery. A single hanging bulb flickered overhead. "This is your safe house?" she asked. He shrugged. "Safe's a relative word. No surveillance. No questions." He keyed in a code on a concealed panel, revealing a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. Maps, hard drives, photos, and files spread out like the pieces of a deadly puzzle. Amelia's eyes widened. "You've been tracking me." "Not just you," he said, pulling a folder marked Operation Nightglass. He slid it across the table toward her. "Your family, too." Her pulse stuttered. "My family? Your father, Enrique Moreno. You think he's just a corporate tycoon, right?" She frowned. "He's a businessman. He built the Moreno Group from nothing." Ethan's gaze softened, just barely. "That's what they told you." He opened the folder. Inside were surveillance photos, old ones, her father shaking hands with men in suits, some with Kyung insignias on their cuffs, weapons deals, offshore bank accounts, smiling beside faces Amelia had only seen on international wanted lists. She stared in disbelief. "This isn't real." "It's real," Ethan said quietly. "Your father was one of the original architects of the Kyung syndicate. When he left, he took classified data and money that belonged to them. They've been hunting him for years. And the CIA, your CIA, used that history to manipulate you." Amelia backed away, shaking her head. "No, you're lying." "Am I?" he asked, stepping closer, his tone gentle but firm. "That explosion at the gala, it wasn't random. It was meant to erase the last pieces of that old alliance. Your father's company was laundering money for both sides. When he tried to pull out, they decided the Moreno bloodline was a liability." Her voice cracked. "Why tell me this now?" "Because the same people who sent me to kill you are the ones who destroyed my family too." She froze. He looked away, the edge in his voice softening into something almost human. "My brother was framed for treason 6 years ago. The CIA used him as a scapegoat for an operation that went wrong. When he refused to take the fall quietly, they made sure he disappeared. The same director you report to, Hughes, signed the order." Amelia's breath caught. The same man who had told her she was compromised. "So this is revenge," she said quietly. "It was," he admitted, "until I met you." The words hung in the air, raw, disarmed, dangerous. For the first time, Ethan's mask cracked. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were tired, haunted. "You shouldn't have saved me that night," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Maybe not. But when I saw you in that ballroom, I saw someone who didn't belong in their world. You're too honest for the lies they built." Amelia turned away, tears threatening but refused to fall. "And now what? You think we can just expose them? Bring down 2 global syndicates and an intelligence agency?" "Not we," he said. "You." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He walked over to one of the crates and pulled out a small metallic drive. "This contains evidence, bank transfers, assassination orders, covert links between the CIA and the Kyung Group. Enough to bury them both." He placed it in her hand. "You're the only one who can get this into the right hands without it vanishing. You have access, credentials, and a name they still trust. For now." She stared at the drive. Her fingers trembled. "And what about you? I'll draw their attention. Make them chase me instead of you." "No," her voice broke through the heavy silence. "They'll kill you." He met her eyes. "They'll try." Before she could respond, a gunshot shattered the warehouse window. Glass exploded inward. Ethan tackled her to the ground as bullets ripped through the walls. Dozens of red dots flickered through the shadows, laser sights. "They found us," Ethan hissed, drawing his weapon. "Amelia, run." She clutched the drive tightly, her heart pounding as gunfire echoed around them. Ethan returned fire with precision, every shot calculated, ruthless. She wanted to stay, to fight beside him. But the look in his eyes, that unspoken plea, told her everything. She ran toward the back exit, glancing once over her shoulder. Ethan stood between her and the men flooding the room, a lone figure holding off the darkness. As she vanished into the night, her last image of him was through the shattered glass. Ethan, outnumbered, cornered, and still fighting like a man who had something worth dying for. The next 72 hours passed in fragments. Sirens in the distance, fake passports, and sleepless nights in cheap motels. Amelia Moreno was no longer an agent, no longer a daughter, just a fugitive carrying the truth everyone wanted buried. The metallic drive burned in her pocket like a secret that refused to stay silent. She replayed the scene in the warehouse again and again. Ethan's last look, that quiet command to run, the flash of gunfire that swallowed him. She didn't know if he'd survived, and that uncertainty was a pain sharper than any wound. She checked into a nameless hotel under a forged ID, Elena Cruz, the kind of place that smelled of dust and lost souls. As she sat on the edge of the bed, the weight of the drive pressed against her palm. She connected it to a disposable laptop. Lines of encrypted code flickered to life, followed by a single hidden file titled Morning Star Project. She clicked it open. A series of documents unfolded: photos, offshore bank accounts, and communications linking Director Hughes to secret weapons contracts with the Kyung Syndicate. But beneath all that, one file stood out. An old video, labeled, "I'm under personal." She hesitated, then hit play. Static. Then a familiar face appeared, her father, Enrique Moreno. Older, wearier, but unmistakably him. "If you're watching this, mi hija, then the truth has already reached you. And that means they've come for me." Amelia's heart clenched. "The CIA was never my enemy. Not at first. We worked together. The Kyung Syndicate funded covert missions, untraceable, profitable. But when they started trafficking weapons through my company, I tried to stop it. They said I betrayed them, so they made sure I would never be clean again." He sighed heavily. Ethan Park's father was part of it too, one of my closest allies. When he tried to protect me, they killed him. That boy, your Ethan, he never knew the full truth. Amelia's breath hitched. "If he finds you, don't hate him. He's not your enemy. He's your redemption." The screen went black. She sat frozen, the silence deafening. The man she had spent her life defending was part of the very corruption she had sworn to destroy, and Ethan, the man she was ordered to kill, was the son of her father's murdered friend. Tears blurred her vision, but before she could process the wave of betrayal, a soft knock came at the door. Every instinct screamed trap. She grabbed her gun and moved quietly toward the peephole. Nothing. Then, a folded piece of paper slipped under the door. She crouched, hand trembling, and picked it up. 3 words were scrawled across the page in a handwriting she instantly recognized. "Meet me, Pier 17. Her pulse spiked. "Ethan." Pier 17 to 1:47 a.m. The docks were deserted, the Pacific wind cutting through her coat. The fog curled around the shipping containers like ghosts guarding old sins. She moved cautiously between the rows, gun ready. Then she saw him, leaning against a rusted container, bruised, bloodied, but alive. "Ethan." For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the ocean's distant roar and the slow, uncertain beating of their hearts. "I thought you were dead," she whispered. "Almost was," he said with a faint smirk that didn't reach his eyes. "They wanted to make sure you thought so. You let me think you died? It was the only way to keep you off their radar. They're watching everything now, every satellite, every signal. You're their top target." She stepped closer, anger and relief warring in her voice. "You could have told me, and risked them tracking your comms?" "No." Silence hung between them. Then, quietly, she said, "I saw it, the file. My father, your father, what they did." He looked away, pain flickering across his features. "Then you know why this has to end." She nodded. I do. But not through more blood. Ethan's gaze hardened. There's no clean way out of this, Amelia. They've erased too many lives to walk away now. Then let's expose them the right way, she said fiercely. No assassinations. No more running. We take the evidence public. He shook his head. You think the CIA and Kyung won't silence every outlet before it reaches air? Not if we leak it through multiple channels, she countered. Encrypted releases. Anonymous drops. If the world sees it all at once, they can't bury it. Ethan looked at her for a long moment, weighing, measuring. Finally, he said, You're insane. She smiled faintly. So are you. For the first time since the gala, he laughed. A low, tired sound that felt like the first real thing between them. But the moment shattered when headlights swept across the pier. Black SUVs rolled in, engines humming like predators. They found us, Ethan said grimly. Amelia gripped his arm. No more running, she said. He turned to her, eyes steady. Then we make them regret finding us. They drew their weapons side by side once again. Two broken souls against the empire that made them. As the first agents stepped out, armed and armored, Amelia whispered, Whatever happens, don't let me forget who I was before this. Ethan glanced at her, a rare softness cutting through the chaos. You were the only thing real in all of it. Then the gunfire began. Gunfire cracked the night wide open. Bullets tore through steel, splintering wood and echoing against the waves like thunder. Ethan moved first, sharp, precise, lethal. Every motion was a blend of instinct and discipline. He fired twice, dropped to one knee, and pulled Amelia behind a shipping crate. 3 agents on the left flank, he muttered. I see them, she said, checking her ammo. We're boxed in. He gave her a look. Not fear, but resolve. Then we make a new door. A burst of rounds peppered their cover. Sparks rained down. Amelia gritted her teeth, grabbed a flash grenade from Ethan's vest, pulled the pin, and threw it high. Light exploded like lightning, followed by shouts of confusion. They ran. Boots pounded the wet pavement, breath ragged, hearts slamming in sync. Ahead, 2 SUVs blocked the pier's exit. Ethan skidded to a stop. Back the other way. A gunshot cut through his words. Amelia turned. Time slowed. Ethan staggered, clutching his side. Blood seeped between his fingers, staining his black shirt. Ethan! He fell to one knee, gritting his teeth. Keep moving. No! She snapped, dragging him toward cover behind a stack of containers. You're not dying here. He coughed, smearing blood on his sleeve. You can't save both of us. Watch me. Her voice was steel. Another hail of bullets tore through the air. She fired back with deadly precision, each shot fueled by fury and something deeper, something she could no longer deny. When the gunfire paused, Ethan slumped against the container, breathing hard. You should have left me. Amelia pressed her hands against his wound. Shut up and hold on. He gave a weak smile. You're too stubborn to be an agent. And you talk too much for a dying man. Despite the chaos, they both laughed. A strange, fleeting sound that cut through the madness. Sirens wailed in the distance. Reinforcements were coming. Ethan reached for her wrist, his grip trembling but firm. Listen to me. You have to get the drive out of here. There's a contact. Name's Ravi Iqbal. Independent journalist. He's been chasing the Morningstar project for years. Find him. He'll know what to do. She shook her head. I'm not leaving you behind again. You don't have a choice. He pressed a small detonator into her hand. She stared at it. You rigged the pier? He nodded weakly. Failsafe, in case things went south. There's enough C4 under the main dock to take out everything they brought. Ethan, no. If you trigger this, you'll end it, he said quietly. For good. She could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the guilt, the years of carrying everyone else's sins. He wasn't afraid of dying. He was afraid of not finishing what he started. Amelia's throat tightened. You think I can just walk away while you blow yourself up? He looked at her. Really looked. like he was memorizing her face. You have to, because you're the only one left who still believes in something good. Tears burned her eyes. Don't make me do this. He smiled faintly. You made me believe again, Amelia. That's enough. The words hit her harder than the bullets ever could. She cupped his face, trembling. If I walk away, this is goodbye. He leaned closer, their foreheads almost touching. Then make it count. And before either could stop it, their lips met, desperate, fierce, the kind of kiss that carried every unspoken word they'd never have time to say. It was raw and real and broken. The calm in the storm they both knew would end them. When she finally pulled away, tears streaked her face. I'll come back for you. Ethan gave a faint smirk, his breath shallow. I'll hold you to that. She pressed the detonator into his palm. You don't have to die to make this right. He looked at her one last time, and in that look was everything. Apology, love, surrender. Go, he whispered. She ran. The pier stretched before her, fog curling around her like ghosts. She didn't look back. She couldn't, not until she reached the shoreline, half a mile away, and turned just in time to see the world ignite. The explosion ripped through the docks, fire rising into the sky, waves crashing against burning debris. The shockwave threw her to the ground. For a moment, all she could hear was the roar of flames and the sound of her own heartbeat. And then silence. She lay there, shaking, tears blurring the fire into gold and red streaks. Somewhere beneath that inferno, Ethan Park had vanished. But even as the embers burned, she knew this wasn't the end, because he'd left her something more dangerous than evidence or vengeance. Hope. Thank you for watching. Episode 1 ends here. Watch out for Episode 2 coming up soon. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is posted. Also leave us a like, comment, and share to others who love good stories.